There are bad days, and then there's the kind of day you're having in Shin Megami Tensei 5. One moment you're walking the streets of Tokyo's urban jungle as a third-year student from Join Academy. Next thing you know, you wake up in a post-apocalyptic cityscape, or whatever's left of the once bustling Japanese metropolis. Correction, the still bustling former Japanese metropolis. Except this time, the place is teeming with all sorts of demons eager to take a bite out of your tasty you-know-what. Just what is a regular high schooler to do? Fortunately, you quickly get some impressive backup in the form of your mysterious new partner, Aogami. By your powers combined, you are the Earth's new defender, the Nahobito. Now you'll certainly need these powers, as the Netherworld isn't exactly the friendliest place, which means that you'll need all the strength that you can muster in order to survive. By the way, apologies about the basic footage. Due to embargo rules, I'm only limited to showing video from the very beginning of the game. Anyway, at its core, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is all about its demons. At least that's how I would describe the series in a nutshell to newcomers. Yes, the protagonist takes center stage as the primary force through which players experience the story. Make no mistake though, while heroes come and go, the series' demonic denizens have always been the one constant in every Shin Megami Tensei game. In that sense, the crafty devils are the true stars of the series. Now, players will start out with basic stalwarts such as Pixie and Slime, who can be recruited into one's combat party early in the game. But, like a rolling snowball that turns into an avalanche, each new demon you get unlocks a path to even more diverse and powerful creatures. See, in addition to demons that you can battle and recruit on the field, you can also fuse monsters in your team to create entirely different creatures, including ones that you typically don't see until you get further in the game. This makes the acquisition of every new demon, no matter how big or small, an exciting one. Ooh, what do we have here? That's always my reaction when I get a new demon. Now the game provides various options for demon fusion, from the basic 2-demon combination to special fusions that can use not just 2, but even 3 or 4 demons. The game also has elemental fusions that let you either upgrade or downgrade demons to other creatures within the same family. The game does an especially good job with the user interface for fusions, which allows you to do combinations via multiple ways. This includes picking a demon and seeing all its potential fusion results, or picking from a list of all possible fusions based on the demons that you have or have acquired, even if they're not necessarily in your party anymore. Demon recruiting, which carries on the series' tradition of talking directly to monsters, also continues to be a highly amusing exercise. Shin Megami Tensei 5, or SMT5 from this point on, because it's like a super long name. Yeah, SMT5's demons are a diverse lot, and their varied personalities can be a source of levity, especially when you encounter a particularly mischievous kind. Oftentimes, these conversations play out like a psychotherapy session, where you try to figure out what makes each demon tick. Some monsters, for example, respond well to flattery or meekness. Others respond better to power or outright trollish behavior. Then there's always good old bribery, which tends to work wonders on demons. I mean, they are demons after all. So bribery is not a bad thing. Now, fail the negotiations and you'll get mercilessly smacked around, which is why it's a good idea to normally take out all the other demons before attempting to recruit one to your fold. And then, even if you fail, if you survive the demon attack, you can try to talk to the demon again within the same battle, provided they don't run away. This is important because putting together a core team of strong demons is the key to success in SMT5. As strong as the Nahobino is, he still can't take on enemy forces on his own, so having a stable of reliable demon allies is essential. This is especially true given the game's difficulty in normal mode and higher, which is something that the Shin Megami Tensei series is known for. The good news is that the game also provides casual mode for folks who want to enjoy the SMT5 experience, minus the stress. You can switch between normal and casual mode anytime, but hard mode has to be picked from the beginning in order to experience it. Also, if you pick hard mode in the beginning and then switch to normal or casual, you cannot switch back to hard mode anymore. So, while the core mechanics for Shin Megami Tensei 5 will feel familiar to longtime fans, the game also introduces several new changes that series veterans will pick up on. Battling continues to be anchored by the franchise's press-turn battle system, which is Shin Megami Tensei's take on the turn-based combat popularized by classic JRPGs. Knowledge is power, literally, as you will need to be aware of various demons' strengths and weaknesses in order to do well. One mistake, for example, can change a simple encounter from a cakewalk to a super tough ordeal in just one turn. For example, if you hit an enemy with an attack that it's weak against, you will earn an extra action. Hit it with an attack that it is resistant to, however, and you will lose an extra action instead. All is fair in War and SMT5, as your foes can also get the same perks and penalties if they hit you with an effective or ineffective attack as well. Another part of battling in SMT5 is the Magatsuhi gauge. It's basically a special gauge that steadily fills up through either your actions or certain perks, such as striking an unsuspecting enemy in the field. You start out with a Magatsuhi skill that makes your party's attack go critical for a full turn, but eventually you will also unlock other versions that can buff or heal your team, for example. At the same time, SMT5 also streamlines certain aspects of the gameplay by taking out some older features. Gone are the guns and the smirk mechanic after landing a critical or effective attack from the previous game. Shin Megami Tensei 5 also gets rid of equipment such as weapons and armor. Instead, stat allotment from leveling up, as well as your collection of skills, will be the basis of your builds. The build possibilities can be as plentiful as the number of demons in the game, which provide you a variety of skills and affinity combinations to choose from. You can acquire the essence of specific demons via drops or treasure orbs, for example, allowing you to not just equip certain demon skills and perks, but also a monster's elemental resistances or weaknesses. These can be applied not just to the Naobino, but your demon allies as well. You can also gather special points such as Glory, which you can then use to learn abilities known as Miracles. These include increasing the number of skills you can equip, or the number of demons that you can have with you at a time. Some players might decry the loss of familiar mechanics. Overall, however, the changes work well in removing some of the extra fat from the older gameplay, so you can focus more on the game's bread and butter, which is demon recruiting and leveling. The game's essence system, for example, synergizes really well with battling and raising demons, essentially allowing you to kill two birds with one stone in the course of just playing the game. This is especially helpful as SMT5, like many classic-style JRPGs, can be grindy to a fault. And I mean super grindy, which is fine for people who like that stuff, but it can add up after a while. For example, I found myself having to pick additional fights with demons because I found myself noticeably underleveled in some battles, even after fighting most of the enemies that I encountered along the way. Shin Megami Tensei 5 also isn't as dungeon heavy. Instead, the overworld is essentially the dungeon for the most part, giving the game a more open feel. It's also a world that has a lot to offer. These include an assortment of subquests that you can do on the side, as well as things to find such as Gustav's lost Miman helpers. There is certainly no shortage of things to do in addition to the main campaign. And now we get to the P question, which is Shin Megami Tensei 5 versus Persona 5. Now, originally, I wasn't even planning to mention Persona 5 in this review, but the comparisons between that game and Shin Megami Tensei 5 has caused a bit of a kerfuffle on social media prior to release, as well as online, so I figured it would be good to address here as well. So, first off, despite some shared similarities, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not Persona 5. Personally, I think that's a good thing, and I say that as someone who loves both franchises. See, the success of Persona 4, which ushered a new approach and visual style to the franchise, as well as the even bigger success of follow-up Persona 5, made the Persona franchise so popular, it's easy to forget that it was actually originally a spin-off from the Shin Megami Tensei series. However, while both franchises are Atlus JRPGs and even use the same demons, they feature quite different approaches to storytelling, character development, and world building. In that sense, you can say that both are fruits, but sizing them up against each other is like the proverbial comparison between apples and oranges. You can even say that Persona 5 is like jazz, while Shin Megami Tensei 5 is akin to an epic Wagner musical drama. Or is that Wagner? I have no idea. For example, while Persona is more social and puts great emphasis on character relationships, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a more isolated and forlorn experience. Playing the latest Persona games feels like you're hanging out with buddies. Playing Shin Megami Tensei, on the other hand, often makes you feel like a solitary soul, even when you're with company. Persona usually has characters dealing with issues in their own little world. Shin Megami Tensei is more about issues facing humanity with a post-apocalyptic bent. Even the storytelling approach is different for both franchises. In Persona 5, for example, the narrative is a constant presence that drives the game forward. In Shin Megami Tensei 5, the narrative is like a friend or relative who pops up once in a while and then talks your head off, only to disappear for months or years. Both are actually great approaches for their respective games. In SMT5, the storytelling droughts leave you to your own devices, so you can focus on the myriad tasks at hand, such as demon recruitment, subquests, which the game has a lot of, and of course exploration. The same can be said for their soundtracks. Music in Persona 5 stands front and center along with everything else. In Shin Megami Tensei 5, it's hardly noticeable at times to fit the mood, which further lends to the feeling of isolation. It then suddenly exerts itself during certain moments, such as battles and cutscenes for example. So yes, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not Persona 5. And you know what? That's okay. I mean, each franchise can certainly improve by taking concepts from each other. I wouldn't want Shin Megami Tensei 5, for example, to adopt the cel-shaded style of Persona 5, as that wouldn't fit the franchise. However, I do wish that Shin Megami Tensei 5 had the same attention to detail when it comes to its visuals, as its looks can be underwhelming at times, and don't quite do its cool visual concepts justice. Then again, graphics aren't the most important thing. Gameplay is what's really important, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 does really well in that regard. I also like how both franchises are distinctively disparate experiences that do different things. I certainly don't want Shin Megami Tensei to be like Persona. After all, if I want to play a Persona game, then I'll just play a Persona game. Shin Megami Tensei, on the other hand, is its own thing. And you know what? That's just how I like it. So what are my final thoughts? I'd say that Shin Megami Tensei 5 marks another excellent addition to the franchise thanks to an addictive demon collecting mechanic, a plethora of subquests and collectibles to find, and challenging battles that keep you on your toes. It can be overly grindy, and the visuals can look dated at times. However, its streamlined mechanics, combined with a new character progression and skill system, helps keep things fresh while also keeping the core mechanics that Shin Megami Tensei 5 fans have come to love. It's definitely one of my candidates for Game of the Year. As always, if you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. This is Tabi Asobi, and thank you for watching.
Well done, young man. Let us keep moving.